Thank you.
Okay, good evening once again.
Good evening, sir.
All right, so we'll be looking at basic Linux commands in this section.
I'm with you.
Um, because as a cyber security expert or an ethical hacker, you need to be familiar with the scripting languages. You need to be familiar with the operating system, which is the chief hacker itself. If you remember, we talked about setting up a virtual machine. So, uh, like I was saying, remember when we were talking about virtual machine or setting up a virtual network, we mentioned Kali Linux, which is one of the operating system that we shall be using to perform penetration testing. So Kali Linux is an operating system which comes with pre-built functions for us as ethical hacker practitioners, uh, which we can navigate on using some scripting languages like Bash and Python. But before we look at those scripting languages, we need to understand some of the basic commands within Kali Linux. That is what I'm going to be focusing on in this section. Now, just to master this command, you will need to open your virtual box, which is the player. In other words, a software that binds other virtual machines together, a software that is recommended for anybody that wants to practice or learn ethical hacking. It makes it safer for us to practice ethical hacking. Um, it's allow us to install other machine within it, just like you can see on the screen. This is the interface of the virtual box, and currently I have installed 3 different machines. And all these machines, they are virtual machines. In other words, they are machines that are represented with just their images on the host's operating system. So the host operating system is the Windows 11, in which we are running the virtual box, and the virtual box is holding all our virtual machines. Now, you need a terminal to be able to execute all these basic Kali Linux commands that we want to uh, understand. Now, as a programmer, or all programmers will always need a development environment to write and execute their code. So while you are in Kali, where do you write your code and where can you execute your code? So you are going to use what we call the command prompt, but in this case, we are using the terminal. So there is a terminal, which is are directly representing the IDE or a development environment. So how do I start that terminal? Now, the first thing is for you to start your Kali machine. So out of all these machine, the two of them, they are targeted machine. They are machine that are vulnerable to attack, machine that we are going to be hacking their contents through the Kali. So to open the Kali is to select it, come here, and then click on it. So I have already opened it. So this is how the Kali interface will look like. Now remember when you were setting it up, you created a user account with a password. So that is why it's showing this environment, that is, you need to be authenticated. So the machine needs to know whether you are the owner. So what I will simply do is to type my password so that it can take me to my Kali environment. So this is actually the Kali Linux window interface, just like the conventional Windows, where you have icons and then you have some other functions to manage it. Now, how do I open up the Kali Linux terminal? How do I open it up? Now, to open up the Kali Linux terminal, there are two ways you can actually achieve that, and I hope you are still with me. So you either come,
Exactly.
so
Yeah, I'm with you.
okay, so you come to where you have this black icon. You can see we have root terminal emulator, and then we have PowerShell. Now, this one shows that you are the administrator. It's just like your normal window where you also set up user accounts, where you have the administrator accounts and also have the standard accounts. And of course, the administrator account has 100% privileges in controlling that machine compared to a standard account. So if you deploy this terminal, it means you are going to be operating as the root that has 100% control. So there are certain code you will write here that will be executed that will not be executed when you go through this. So let me just show us how to go about this. Now, once you click on it, you can see it is asking us for authentication. Since you are claiming you are the administrator, you have to come in with the administrator password. So that same password you assign during the time of setting up the hacking lab, you impute it. So let's say this is my password, and then you notice it will walk me in and open the terminal. So this is the terminal I spoke about. So in other words, instead of all using the conventional coding IDE like a Visual Studio Code, like Atom and the rest of them. So this is like the command prompts where we can write and execute Kali Linux or Linux command. Now, once you are in the root account, there is no need to run most of your command with sudo, because sudo shows that you are operating as the root user. Okay, so now you can see the way it captures the URL. Now let me show you how you can also launch the terminal without going through this option. So you can press the Ctrl, Alt, and T on your keyboard, and that will open this terminal. Now, this terminal is different from the one I open. So if this is a user terminal, it means that anytime you want to run some of the command that should only be run by the sole administrator, you have to specify a sudo, which means you are acknowledging the root. For example, if I want to run a command here to enter or to be uh, recognized as the root user, despite that I am in the user mode, what I am going to do is to simply write sudo and then type what? Su. I hope you are following. I will type sudo
Yeah.
and su. So once I hit enter, it will ask me for a password. So what I am directly or indirectly doing
Password.
is that I sign in as a user, and from the user interface, I am switching to the root account without me coming here. That is why I type what? Sudo and then what? Su. Now, since it's asking me for my password, I will just type my password and then hit enter. So you can see that from the standard account, we have switched to what? To the root what? Account, so that we can have all the privileges that we ought to have when we sign in as the administrator while we are in the user account. So that is one way. Now, what are these commands I said we are looking at? Because I said the whole of this section, we want to look at Kali Linux basic commands. Just like your window, when you install your Microsoft Windows, you take time to understand its environment. Part of the things you learn is how you can shut down your system, how you can, create folder, how you can manage the resources within the system. Now, but Kali Linux is a command prompt operating system, is a command line operating system, which means that the interface is not friendly like your regular operating system like Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, Windows 11. For example, you see that if I want to, for example, if um, I want to open my system, I will just come to this folder here. I'll just click on the File Explorer, and then it brings out what? My System Explorers. So from here, I can say, okay, I want to navigate to desktop. You can see that all I am doing is just to click. I am not writing code. But you see, like what I did now, if I'm to interpret it in Kali, I simply enter a directory called desktop. So I'm going to write a line of code in order to do what I easily did on my base window. So now going back to our Kali so that we can play with some of these commands. So the very first command we want to learn is, how do I know the name of this computer user? Just like in your normal window, in your normal window, if you want to know the name of this system, what you usually do is that you open the File Explorer and then you go to this PC, you right click on it and then you select property. So that will automatically give you information about the system. So how to do something of that nature in Kali Linux is what we actually want to learn. So you can see the device name, this. Now, how do we do this in Kali? So let's go back here. So you simply type who am I, who am I. So once you type who am I is a Kali Linux function that tells you that output, if I run it, who is the user of the system to be what? A root. Now, you are seeing this because at the time we are in the root. Okay, so if, for example, I close this or I come here and then create a new tab, and in this new tab, I have not switched to root user. This is just what? Account user. That if I type that thing, we type again. Who am I? Who am I? You see that it will output what? Egwero. But when we were here, it outputted what? Root. That is to tell you the type of account. Remember that we switched to root by typing what? Sudo su.
Go SU.
Now, but here we have not switched to root. Okay, though there are some commands that we will not be able to execute until we add sudo, until we acknowledge the roots. Okay, so I just want us to be taking note of them. So this command is used to output the name of the computer user. Now, the next command we want to look at is the host name. The host name. So I can also just type host name of this computer and run it. You can see that what? It outputted the same name because at the time of setting up the virtual lab, I used the same name. When it prompted out an option for username and host name, I entered the same name, Egwero. Now, even when you were given the text box during the setup, under
I'm
username,
with you.
a different name, and then under host name, you input a different name, then it will not output the same thing. Because right now, it looks as if the two commands are doing the same thing based on what they are returning, but they are not. I am the one that use Egwero as my username and also Egwero as what? The host name. I hope you are following, sir. Following, right?
I'm with you.
All right. So the next
Since the network is
the next Kali command we want to look at is how do I know the directory? Directory in this context represents the storage. For example, now if I may just use your normal window, at some point I will be switching just to conceptualize it to you, to make it, because I know you are familiar with. Hello, can you hear me now? Hello? Hello? Yes, I want to confirm if you are still here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, all right.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Hmm. So, like I was saying, let's look at another Kali basic command. We have confirmed to who am I and host name. Now, the next one is how do I know the directory? So I was about explaining, giving you a picture of how directory look like even in your regular Windows so that you understand what exactly we are looking for. For example, now if I click on my Window Explorer or File Explorer, I can access different directories. So desktop is a directory, download is another directory. So in this context, we can see directory as storage. Okay, are we still here? Sorry, the network is